This is September 5th, 2024. Ernest Gebhardt Jr. speaking. And in 1977, I was at a JC party in Dan Pickett's garage over here. And I saw across the street this house at 2310 18th Avenue, and the barn in the back, and the acre of land. And I told Beverly that's what we want, and she agreed. And so we checked into it, and it had been empty for a couple of years because the Leonard and Martha Dish family that lived there before had passed away, and the three children had just maintained it for 2 or 3 years empty, deciding what they wanted to do. So we went to the bank, and it was being handled through the bank. John McElhaney was doing it at the time, and so found out that they wanted $40,000 for the property, and so we made an offer for it of $40,000, and also a neighbor down on the corner, Dick Feller, who owned Monroe Truck Equipment and was becoming a millionaire, also wanted the property, but he was a director in the bank, and they felt it would be a conflict of interest for him to buy it, and also he was going to tear down the barn and build a fabulous house probably, and we told him we would keep the farm the way it was. So the family decided to award it to us, and so then after we made the offer on the house and it was accepted, there was an auction here, and we bought some of the things at the auction. I think we bought a lawnmower, not too much else. And so then we did not have a moving van or anything. I just brought things over in a van that I had at the time. And one thing upstairs in the attic, there was no insulation. So I put insulation between the rafters, and then I nailed up the sheeting that is up there in the attic. It was so heavy, I also had to put a frame around the inside of the attic to prop it up so that the roof wouldn't cave in. And so that's held up all of these years. But one of the things, we could just move over now. You want to keep talking? When we moved here, that was all plain there. There was no trees there. I moved the lilacs here from Alfred and Ilo's place, and the trees just kind of naturally grew up over the years. So now it's 2024, and most of the lilacs have reached a point where they'll probably have to be replaced or just taken out. And if you notice up on top of the roof, we had the when we moved here, there was what was called a widow's walk up on top. It was a flat, about a 4 foot by 4 foot area that you could go into from the inside and stand up there and look around. And we converted the house from oil to natural gas, so we didn't need the chimney coming up out of the roof anymore. So what I did when they I had them change the configuration of the roof to come to a point on top. And then the upstairs became the bedroom for Paul, and then Sarah and David over the years. A lot of their friends got a lot of graffiti up there that they wrote on the paneling, which I never bothered to paint over. Coming around the house here, there used to be a walnut tree here, and the squirrels would jump from the walnut tree to the house, and they chewed holes and got into the attic. One time I actually had to take a pellet gun up into the attic and kill the squirrel up there and remove it. And then what we did is filled in, and a couple years ago, just to not have to go up and clean the gutters anymore, I spent $5,000 to put in leaf filter, which is a lifetime gutter protection. So she'd never have to crawl up there and clean the gutters anymore. Going around here, that mulberry tree did not exist back then. And last year I had to trim it because it was getting so big it was hanging over the house. And one of the other things we did, there was no air conditioning in this house, so up at American TV in Madison, I bought this big 12,000, or I think it's 12,000 BTU air conditioner, and put that in. And so in the summertime, that air conditioner conditioned the whole house. And so that worked out pretty well for us. About 3 years ago, I qualified for a grant that Lance Furnace and Heating came, and they put in a free furnace for me with the humidifier, because Amy wrote a letter to them saying that she was concerned about this 70-year-old person living alone with a pulse furnace that Beverly and I had put in back in the 80s. And so we received the grant to get a free furnace. And it's still working well. Then we come around here. I actually got this pine tree from a neighbor lady that was just a small Christmas tree type back when we moved here. And you can see how big it is now. I don't know how much longer that'll be around. As you can see, the bottom branches tend to die. Then, one of the things I did along the south side of the property is I planted all of those pine trees, because when we moved here, that was all open for the neighbors to look through. And I recently planted these pine trees to finish off, you know, the protection. And we've got some other great big trees here. We used to have a very large tree right here, which I spent $1,000 getting it removed because it was getting so old. It was, branches were falling, and so we got that removed. The barn, when we moved here in 1977, there was loose hay up in the mow. So what I did is I opened that door there and tossed out all of the loose hay, and finally was able to get the bats to leave too that were up in the barn. And then I put in a ping pong table and a pool table and music, record players and so forth. Nice thing about the barn there, if you're playing music as loud as you want up in the barn, the neighbors still can't hear it. So the kids had a lot of fun up there over the years. When Sarah was in high school and David, a lot of their friends came over, and a lot of times I found drug things that I really didn't appreciate. So I kicked them out every once in a while, told them not to smoke or do drugs up there. And eventually things changed, and so now maybe who knows what the future holds. Also, when we moved here in 1977, I built this dog yard, and over the years we had several dogs, well, raising the kids. Two that I remember the most were Gizmo and Ginger Snap. They were not border collies, just
Cocker Spaniels.
Cocker Spaniels. And kind of a funny story about those. I went up to the Legion cabin with the kids on vacation, and I came home, and Beverly had picked up a mother Cocker Spaniel out by the high school, and so she was pregnant at the time, and then she was the one that actually had Gizmo and Ginger Snap, and Gizmo was a good sized dog, and Ginger Snap was about half his size. He was the male, she was the female, and so we had a lot of fun raising them.
And when Paul and I were younger, we had Ginger and Spicy. Little Spicy that we brought home from Idaho.
Little Spicy, yeah. The other thing that I brought over, this swing set and slide, were at the Gutzmer property on the way to Monticello. They're from what was called the Hillside School, and that building was moved back up on the property by Alfred and Hilo so that they could build a brand new ranch style home on the property. And so when it came time for them to sell, because they moved to Beloit, and Beverly and I could have bought out there, but I hated their drive because when you left the house, it was north and south, and then you had to go around a corner that was east and west, and at any time that there was snow blowing, you got blocked in. So I was happy that we got this place instead. Then this walnut tree was here when we moved here. It just continues to get bigger and bigger.
You first put the slide and the swing set at the other house, right?
Oh yeah.
And then you brought them over here.
Yeah, first I moved both those things twice.
How did you do that?
They have about a 5-gallon block of cement under each pole. And so you just take it apart, and I was a lot younger then, load it in a truck and haul it over. Yep. Yeah. Yeah, we was real happy here. Raised 4 kids, and all of them are doing well. Amy works at the YMCA, and Todd works at Coon Night in Broadhead. Paul just retired from the Army as a full colonel after 32 years and some months. Sarah and Andy, they moved to Hurricane, Utah, and they both work for TDS, the internet company, phone, internet, and television. And David and Laura live in Madison on Williamson Street. They've got a condo where they can actually look out the window and see the capital of Wisconsin. They both work for the state. David at Oregon Correctional Facility, and Laura has an office somewhere around the Capitol. So right now I'm 81 years old and doing well. I'm hoping to be able to go out to Sarah's and Andy's for the winter, and that's the plans at the moment.
Awesome. And your grandkids, Dusty and Heather, they used to come here every morning and walk to school and walk back here every day after school. So this was a great, close to their schools for them to be able to come every day.
Yeah, what was nice living in Monroe is all of the kids were able to just walk to school. Never had to bus any of them.
Yep, that's why my kids never rode a bus, because they always just came here and walked back here after school. It was perfect.
And then one other thing, when I got married to Beverly, I was 25 and she was 18. And she had worked briefly at Advanced Transformer in the kitchen area. But she quit when we got married, and we were fortunate enough that I had a good enough job that she was able to be a stay-at-home mom for all of the time that we were married. So one of the things she did was ran for county board and city council and did a lot of great community work, and she did a lot with what was called Christian Women's Club. And so worked out. Nowadays there aren't many families where both don't have to work.
And you did a lot of community stuff too, didn't you, Dad?
Well, yeah, I was in the Monroe JCs And one time our guy at the JC's, Bob Collins, he was on the county board, and he says, you know, we should get involved in politics. And the county board really wasn't political, it's just runs the stuff in the county. But there were 5 of us that ran for county board, and we beat out all the incumbents. So that they had never seen such a turnover at one time for the county board, because people usually got on it and just stayed on until they moved or something. And so I was on the county board for 5.5 years. The reason for the half year was I moved over here, and then I decided to stay off the county board, and that's when Beverly got interested. Also, I was a member of Crime Stoppers, and had enjoyed working with the Sheriff's Department on that. Both Beverly and I received the Outstanding Junior Citizens Awards when we were younger for work that we did in the community. And so we did okay.
Were you on city council too?
No,
No. You were on the cheese making center and the historic.
well, yeah, I volunteer. I was president of the Greene County Historical Society in the 70s, and then since then the Monroe Historic Cheesemaking Center has come into being, and I'm still working there, so I still help out with both of those. And my main area of helping out is the American Legion. We do a lot there. I'm on the honor guard for the American Legion, so we do a lot of funerals for veterans that are passing away these days.
And you've been the commander twice.
And I was a commander twice. Yep. So, yep. No complaints. Well, it must be 5:30 now.